their hand up for some time, and let me list off to you. It's Mr. Barrett, Mr. Sorbera, Mr. Workington, Ms. Goudreau, Tanzio, and Madam Shanahan. So go to Mr. Barrett now.
Chair, thanks very much. And again, I appreciate the motion moved by Madame Gaudreau, and will take the time to review it. I've heard from our colleagues that it doesn't look like there's going to be a consensus or success if this comes to a vote today. And I would like to say that the motion is its intent is laudable. I have, so with that said, Chair, I would like to move to adjourn the debate on Madame Gaudreau's motion to a future meeting. I think you're on mute, Chair.
Thank you. I'll get used to this. There's been a motion to adjourn the debate on this motion. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adjourn debate?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. With that said, then
Point of order, Chair.
Yes. Point of order.
Chair. There was a reference made to our adjournment time by yourself and verified by the clerk, and I just took a moment to review, and this is something that came up during some of our summer sessions with respect to adjournment. And in Boston Gagnon, in Chapter 20 on pages 1099, it says, the committee chair cannot adjourn the meeting without the consent of a majority of the members, unless the chair decides that a case of disorder or misconduct is so serious as to prevent the committee from continuing its work. Therefore, I withhold my consent to adjourn the meeting at 1 p.m.
Understood, Mr. Barrett. You're absolutely correct in regards to the majority of the committee continuing the meeting. We were talking about adjournment. There's a subtle difference, but there is a difference. So you're on record in that regard. Now, I still have a list of speakers here. Mr. Sorbera, Mr. Workington, Madame Gaudreau.
Chair, that was to the motion, Chair, which we adjourned debate on.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Barrett, but I was just confirming that with this speakers list that those people were all lined up for that motion. Is that correct, the names that I mentioned?
Yeah.
All right, then let me go back to my list.
Okay, so that's me next on your list, Chair?
That's correct, Mr. Barrett, that is you.
Point of
okay,
order.
Chair.
Sorry.
Point of order, Mr. Angus.
Yes, my understanding is to go past 1 o'clock. We need unanimous consent because the issue is I have to prepare for other work with the House.
It is my understanding that we have the resources to go past 1 p.m. and the only way we can adjourn is with the majority of the committee members saying they wish adjournment. Mr. Fergus.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to so move that we adjourn the meeting at this time.
Okay, just give me a moment, colleagues, if I could just suspend for a moment and we'll get back to Mr. Fergus's motion. Continue.
Other in-camera meetings. That the committee may meet in camera only for the following purposes. A, to consider a draft report. B, to attend briefings concerning national security. C, to consider lists of witnesses. D, for any other reason with the unanimous consent of the committee. That all votes taken in camera, with the exception of votes regarding the consideration of draft reports, be recorded in the minutes of proceedings, including how each member voted when recorded votes are requested. That any motion to sit in camera is debatable and amendable.
Mr. Angus.
Thank you. It came up theoretically in the WE study, I believe, in the discussions at finance, and that hasn't been tested out, but whether or not there may be a time where you want to have a in-camera session with a witness that may.
Sorry, I missed Mr. Is anybody else having trouble with Mr. Angus, or is it just my connection?
My audio is fine. Mr. Angus, would you just begin again to make sure Mr. Fergus can hear you?
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. In terms of in-camera meetings, it was a hypothetical with the WE study at finance, whether or not certain witnesses may provide testimony in camera because of their concerns and our ability to receive that information. As well, in the last Parliament with the ethics study, we had in-camera presentations on key investigations that were going on in other jurisdictions, and it was felt that an in-camera briefing to our committee allowed us to know what was going on without compromising investigations that were taking place. So I'm not sure if the language around this motion covers that the ability of committee to receive extraordinary information that needs to be, where the source needs to be protected, would be part of an in-camera meeting.
I for some reason, I don't have a copy of that motion, and I apologize. I've got a list here, but for some reason I don't have that. But so I'll refer to the clerk. Is that, would that, Mr. Angus's point, would that, the motion does say with a majority of the committee, we go into camera anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't have that version either. But I expect that the committee can agree to go in camera when it chooses.
And I think, again, clerk, it's been a few years, so generally speaking, an in-camera, a motion to in-camera is a dilatory motion. It's generally not debated, and that the reason being that oftentimes the safety and security of witnesses in a debate would be compromised while we're debating whether we go in a camera. Is that correct, or am I?
Generally speaking, an in-camera motion is not debatable unless there's a condition attached to it. But if the committee wishes for that to be the case, then they can do that.
Thank you, Mr. Fergus.
D'après mes informations, Monsieur le Président.
Based on my information, Mr. Chair, this motion came from the clerk of the House of Commons. So, Madam Clerk, I hope I haven't been disrespectful to the committee, but that's the information I had received.
Anybody else have a copy of this motion?
Yep.
Okay. If everybody else.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Barrett.
So, and which motion are you referring? I have a copy of the routine motions that were distributed.
I'm talking about the motion that Mr. Fergus just read out. It's not on my copy of routine motions, nor on the clerk's copy. And I just wanted to, I can navigate that as long as everybody else has a copy. But you all need to have a written copy in front of you of what was said in order to really make a proper judgment.
I don't have a copy of that.
So, Mr. Fergus, yes, go ahead, clerk.
Sorry, I'm just working to see if I can get us a copy of that.
Okay, can we go on to the
or
next?
he can read it into the record if the committee.
Can I do a point of
Mr. Sorbera?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can we have MP Fergus, Deputy Fergus, reread the routine motion, the other in-camera meeting routine motions that he has, and have it read into record, and during that time have the clerk distribute that copy to all the members, please.
Absolutely. Mr. Fergus, we'll have you read it into the record, and then we'll just take some time to have the clerk pass it on to us. (1 p.m.) We've only covered one motion now from Ms. Goudreau. I have 5 people on the speakers list, and I also have 4 more people that want to present motions. May I make a suggestion? And of course, you, if you're not in agreement, then we will continue on as we are. But my suggestion would be that we hear all the motions briefly, and then our next meeting, we will go one at a time in their order and debate each motion. Let me know if that's something that resonates with you.
Chair.
Mr. Barrett.
So, just to your point, I don't want to step on the list of people who are speaking to that motion. With respect to your question specifically, if it's possible to address the motion that's on the floor, and I think that if we have the capacity with the clerk and analysts to continue the meeting until bells, I expect we should be able to get through one or more pieces of business, which would be preferable for me. Thank you, Chair.
Point of order. Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Cervera.
Yes, my understanding is during committee time to go past a time that the committee was supposed to sit for, you require unanimous consent. Is that the same rules, or is that the rule for this committee as well? Clerk, can we get a ruling on that, please?
That is correct, Mr. Cervera. Okay, I'm going to go through the list of people who had their hands up right now, and let's exhaust that first, and then we'll deal with the 19 minutes that we have left. Mr. Angus.
Thank you. Je vous remercie pour
I would like to thank you for this very interesting motion. For me, the matter is whether or not we can create a new committee. The interpreter regrets, but she cannot hear because he's removed his headset.
Donc, je suis intéressant par cette motion ici, mais je pense qu'il y a potentiel pour une autre motion à le committee de finance aussi. I am interested in this motion. I'm concerned by a couple of things. Again, I don't know that ethics has the authority to create a special committee. But I think a special committee is where we want to go. I think a special committee will clear up our committees so that we can get to work. Right now we have 4 committees looking at the WE scandal. My understanding is that there's language that is more inclusive at finance about other financial issues that would make the committee broader and have a stronger mandate. So I'm interested in the language of that committee. But what I'm concerned about is even if we pass a motion today, calling on the House to create a special motion, that might take some time. It might take a lot of negotiating. I don't want that to interrupt the work that has been done. I think it's important that we actually still maintain our ability to look at the documents that we received, that if we have to continue with our witness list, we continue with the witness list as it was. So if the member is willing to sort of augment to say, in the meantime, we will continue with our work with the documents and that, then it allows the House leaders to look at this. I think it's a very interesting proposal to clear the decks from 4 committees that are very occupied with the WE issue. And it allows us to get onto the other issues. As Madame Goudreau said, there's many, many issues that are really important. But I would like to know if she's willing to add to it that the committee can calls for the reintroduction of the documents that we had obtained. Then we can have a separate discussion about how those documents are accessed, and that we include we reintroduce the witness list and carry on until the House leaders come to a decision. I think that for me would be the best. In terms of the difference between the language with what the Finance Committee, I believe, is discussing and what the bloc members brought forward, I think if we brought forward a motion and Finance brings forward a motion, the House leaders can negotiate something that maybe between all parties we can find acceptable. So I'm very interested in this, but I want to make sure that if we have a long time delay while they negotiate, we're still able to finish off or bring forward the work. And if the larger committee is created, then the transfer of documents and transfer of information from our committee, I'm perfectly content to let this new special committee, for however long it's scheduled for, address those outstanding issues.
Thank you, Mr. Angus. Ms. Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank my colleague, Ms. Goudreau. Oh yeah, is my microphone okay? Perfect. Especially with regards to the fact that we have important work to do in this committee. There were very interesting motions that we had worked on, and I would like for them to be brought back.
I'm not sure, well, I might not be fully aware of all the discussions that took place in the various committees and the idea of having a special committee. I think it's rather proc, and I share Mr. Angus' position. Based on the mandates of our committees, PROC is the committee dealing with that. I vote against the motion because I don't think it is part of our mandate. But the principle of for the Ethics Committee to discuss the issues of confidentiality, identity theft, and the digital issues. Those are the issues that should be debated by our committee. Thank you.
Mr. Fergus.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Puis,
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank Mrs. Goudreau for her motion. I would like to come back to two points. One raised by Mr. Angus. Is our committee entitled to or has the right to create another special committee? I don't think so. Maybe Charlie made a small mistake. It was not referring to the Finance Committee, but rather to PROC. Or was it Finance? Yeah, no, it was PROC, indeed.